What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So for today's second movie review, we are taking a look at a film called The Voices. Now, this film is a bit of an older psychological horror comedy. Now, it did come out in 2014. Like I said, it's a bit of an older one. So seeing how it's 2025, we're almost coming up on, I think, almost 11 years since this film came out. Actually, we are just approaching, no, we just passed 11 years. This film came out in February, early February, so just roughly a week ago. So this film has officially been out now for 11 years. I imagine many of you probably have seen it, but because of its age being 2014, and many people over, I'd say, the past anywhere between 1 to 8 years, 1 to 5, 8 years, are coming into the horror genre. So this one would have been out well before I think many people started really getting into horror, supporting horror, especially the various subgenres of it. So again, this could have been one that had flown under the radar for you. I do think if you like the horror comedy subgenre, I think this is one that you will enjoy. As I've mentioned in the other movie review that we've done today, and I've mentioned in various other streams and episodes that we've done here on the channel, I just want to preface it one more time quickly. You've heard me say I am not big on comedy and horror films. Now, I fully expect when I'm watching a horror comedy, whether it's black comedy, psychological comedy, it's going to have comedy. It's going to lean into the fact that it's satire or it's having comedy about it. Those I fully go into with my eyes wide open. I fully expect and know that that's going to have that aspect to it. What I mean, and I've always meant by I don't like comedy and horror, and I've used this example a multitude of times, and I'm sure many of you who have watched my other videos know this is the example I'm going to give, which is Terrifier 3. The reason I give that example is because it's the most recent example. I think many people have seen the film and will know what I'm talking about. It's where we have Art the Clown, acting out comedy bits or has comedy inserted in for his character that he's acting out. I don't like that type of comedy when I mean by comedy and horror. I look at Terrifier like 1 and 2. That's what I expect from Art the Clown. Certain aspects of Terrifier 3 where there's that comedic aspect that was given to his character, that's what I don't like about comedy and horror. When it comes to the subgenre of black comedy, horror, or horror comedy, whatever you want to call it, I fully go into those films expecting it's going to be like that. So I have no problem with those ones. It's the other aspect of what I was talking about. So coming back to this film, as you can see just from the cover here, it does star Ryan Reynolds. It also has Gemma Arterton, Anna Kendrick, and Jacki Weaver, who also starred in this film. Now, obviously Ryan Reynolds is the primary character. The other three are supporting actresses for the film. So we are going to get into some spoilers, and the reason why, even though this film is 11 years old, and I could easily go into in-depth details for this film, I don't want to do that again because I feel based on its age and the amount of people who like horror comedy, I don't necessarily want to ruin this for anybody who might want to go back and check this one out. So it is available on Amazon Prime. So if you do have Amazon Prime, it is available there free for streaming. So this is where you can check out this film. Otherwise, we're going to keep this one very high level. So we're going to get right into details. So heads up, FYI, warning, spoilers going forward. There will be some spoilers, but again, I will not get into the details. So we have Ryan Reynolds, who plays the character Jerry, and Jerry deals or struggles with schizophrenia, as did his mother. So Jerry lives above an old bowling alley. It looks to be like a small town that he lives in, just based on how the bowling alley, how it looks, where he works at as well, and just how the other local places look, whether that's the local sheriff, restaurants, things of that nature. It looks like he lives in a small town, maybe somewhere in the Midwest, I would imagine. Now he's got 2 pets, which are key to the story, as you see here on the screen here. And we got Bosco, who is the dog, and Mr. Whiskers, who is the cat. Both of them who are talking to him, and they both do have talking parts, and they do talk English. So you will see that in this film, and it's done very nicely. It's not done like, oh my gosh, this is dumb. it's done very nicely, and the cat is probably by far the worst of the two when it comes to pushing Jerry to do things Jerry doesn't want to do, and his vulgarity. The cat is easily the best one between the two. Bosco, the dog, is more you would expect from a dog. He just wants it all to be grand, wants to just, life is great, Jerry, don't worry about it. So very two different differences when you even in real world, real life, you think there's a very big difference between cats and dogs. I think this film does a nice way of even portraying that as well as they talk to Jerry. So Jerry works he's a factory worker. Again, he struggles with schizophrenia. He also does have hallucinations as well. Again, his pets talk to him, but he also, what he perceives around him is what he sees is very different than what reality is. So like his apartment, he sees his apartment or his living space to be one way, when in reality it doesn't look that way. It looks vastly different, and that does play out in the film. That's part of his schizophrenia, that's part of his solutions, and you don't really notice it right away until the movie starts to move on. So it is something you need to pay attention to if you decide to check out this film. So again, he is a factory worker. It's like a plumbing type factory where they make bathtubs, toilets, sinks, things of that nature. So Jerry has a crush on Fiona, who is one of the actresses or characters that works in accounting, and he wants to ask her out but doesn't want to ask her out because he doesn't want to scare her away as far as what his condition is. So eventually they are able to, or he's able to approach her during a company picnic, and the next day he comes to her, trying to invite her out to dinner, and he does so also on the way back to her car after he's dropping her off. After they went out, he was invited to a girls' night out for drinks, unexpectedly by Fiona. One of the other girls asked him out, and obviously Fiona didn't want that to happen, but it did. And so she stands him up. It crushes him, doesn't understand, but during one of the points where she stood him up and she's now back at her car, can't get her car to start, Jerry just happens to drive by, and now she wants to take advantage of him. I think she does take advantage of him in this aspect of where, oh, well, I can't get my car to start, no one else is here, Jerry, please, come rescue me, come, save me to some degree. And of course, Jerry's personality in the film, he does. Picks her up and they start to go for a drive, and then a event happens. I'm not going to say what the event is because I feel that will spoil the film if you haven't seen it. Ultimately, it leads to Jerry making some decisions in that very moment, and then, the preceding 5 to 8 minutes. Jerry moves on. Now, the next day, he starts to talk to Lisa, who is another person in accounting, who Lisa actually happens to have a crush on Jerry. So they start to talk, and there again, Jerry's going back and forth, trying to resolve the previous night's events, while his cat and dog are still talking to him, telling him to do two different things. He's going out now with Lisa on a date, and he takes her to his abandoned childhood home and opens up to her about his condition, about his mother's condition, about his mother's death, how she died, and nothing happens there. Something was going to happen, but nothing happens. He decides, I just can't do anything about this. Again, I'm being very vague on purpose here because I don't want to ruin this. So we proceed to go through the film. Again, Jerry's still trying to resolve the matters between, as far as what happened with Fiona and that night that she asked for his help to pick her up and take her home. Lisa, now wanting to surprise Jerry, works with another girl in accounting to get his address. She shows up, and next thing you know, he's locked out. And he tries to, go through a skylight, but she's like, "Oh, I can help you." She picks the lock, enters his living domain, his apartment, and she is now seeing what is reality. We're seeing what the apartment really looks like in full view versus what we've been perceiving to see when through Jerry's eyes. Now this starts to begin Jerry's downfall of his condition of his schizophrenia and his hallucinations. So there's some back and forth now with Lisa, and then ultimately, and between all this, Jerry is seeing his psychiatrist, we'll call it that for lack of a better term, who is working with him on controlling his hallucinations, controlling his schizophrenia, making sure he's taking his medication. But he has openly said, "I am not taking it." And he has a condition that he needs to be taking it, because it was previously mentioned at the beginning of the film that she's only able to keep him out. She didn't say out of jail or like out of a mental hospital. She just said out, as long as he follows certain conditions. And so he's saying, yeah, I don't want to go back. I'll take my medicine, but he doesn't. Because there was a small point, he took it one time, and he saw how lonely he became. His cat and dog weren't talking to him. He was now seeing reality versus hallucinations, which was scaring him. So he went back to not taking them, which then put him right back into what he perceives as reality. Film moves on. Now he's having again this back and forth with Lisa, and then the last girl in accounting shows up to see what's going on. Her name is Allison. She shows up to Jerry's apartment, and then that's where we have a brief interaction between Allison and Jerry. Ultimately, again, other people at work start to confront Jerry, and then that's where his whole thing becomes well known of what's going on between him, the three individuals in accounting, as well as other people at work. And then ultimately, Mr. Whiskers and Bosco confess, or despite their beliefs, they did like each other because they had this back and forth even between them. And we then see the film kind of come to almost a conclusion where Jerry's accepting his fate. He's accepting the things that he has done and he can't control anymore. And part of that is his hallucinations and his schizophrenia. And he kind of just goes into this dream state. And that's how the film ends. We don't know if he fully resolves, the issues he had with all these other people from his work, or if he's held accountable for some of the things he has said and done. Again, he just goes into a dream state, and that's how the film ends. So you're almost left to come to your own conclusion of what happens to Jerry. Now, as you imagine, you can see, I was very vague in this review because this film, I'd say before you even get to the halfway point, things start to happen and start to pick up, and then it's that way for 3/4 of the film. But as you can see from the image on the screen, if you can see the pets as far as their walking path, and even the name of how the name of the film is written, you can imagine what's happening. You can imagine what Jerry is doing. So again, I'm not going to spoil those parts of the film for you. I want you to see this film. Watch it for what it is. Lean into it as far as it being a psychological horror comedy, and I think you will enjoy it if you haven't seen it. And if it's been a while since you've seen this film, I'd say go back and watch it again if it's been a while. So ratings, I would give this one, I like this film. I love the layout of how the story moves. I don't feel like there's ever for me a point where it has a lot of highs, a lot of lows, constantly going up and down, or ever feeling it's very slow. There's always something happening. So I would give this one a solid 4.5 for me. I enjoyed it. Would I watch it again? Absolutely. Does it have rewatch value for me? Absolutely. Now, would I watch this film like once a week? No. I could probably watch it once every couple of months, every few months, and still enjoy what I'm watching, even though it's again a film from 2014, and many of the actors and actresses we know that are in it, obviously they're very young at this point in 2014. But obviously, looking past all that, again, I think it's a very great film for the subgenre of psychological horror comedy. So let us know down in the comment section if you've seen the film, if you agree with our review and our ranking, 4.5 out of 5. If you haven't seen it, let us know. If you're going to check it out and then come back to the comment section, let us know what you thought about it. If you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We are close to 500 subscribers. We are almost there. So again, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, we will see you at the next one. Peace.